This is one of the oldest and scariest ghost stories America has to offer. And our story starts in a small farmhouse in Tennessee in 1817. So, over 200 years ago, in the deep isolated wilderness of the Volunteer State, a family was tormented by which some say a witch, some a spirit, and others a demon. Today's episode is the story of the Bell Witch. Did you get my
The Bell Witch?
oh my god, that was Inca. She's bursted through the office with her like Jack Nicholson from The Shining,
Oh no.
and she's holding her bone. Oh, is she coming? Inca, this is like the last. This is not the episode I want you to do this.
It's dark in your room too.
Yeah, I've got I have these two lights on that I specially ordered for the
Ooh.
podcast. New
Ooh.
desk lamp. So I've got that, and then I put my green mood lights on my desk on. So
Oh, nice.
and I'm drinking a margarita.
I'm drinking a caramel macchiato. So I got coffee.
Coffee at 7 o'clock
Iced
at
coffee?
night. That's
Yeah.
winter sleep, winter
I'm having
fuel.
a chicken dinner. And I'm also eating gummy worms. So
I do like gummy worms.
they're delicious. I made a bunch of dirt cakes at work today.
Oh yeah.
And so I bought gummy worms because it's like, oh, these are so I haven't had them in a long time. They're so good.
You know what you should make?
Hmm.
You should make like the filling of a Dairy Queen ice cream cake.
Oh, those are delicious.
Can you
Yeah.
make that like just like a cake, like a cookie or something?
Like make the actual like filling for it
Yeah,
into
like
like a
and sell it. Like it's a cookie or something like that.
I don't know if we can make that. Let me see if there's like a dupe recipe we can make. Hold on.
Cause that would sell.
Oh, that's so good.
Cause Mr. Kendra did that custom one for me that one year for my birthday.
Mm-hmm. It's so cute.
Where it was double layered of the middle.
Delicious.
It was.
And see, like the one that I go to, they have those cupcakes, like it's like miniature ice cream cakes with the filling in it.
Yeah.
And
That
yours does
sounds
it.
amazing. Yeah. None
Oh,
of
they're
the
so
ones
good.
around college did that because he called around.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate crunchies. You need Oreo crumbs, melted butter, and you mix it together and then bake it for about 8 minutes. So you have like a little crunchies.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
What's that? Is it like a fudge?
It's like a thick fudge, yeah.
Okay, then you just make like a thick fudge. That sounds good.
Mhm.
That's a good Halloween treat.
Yeah, and they make gluten-free Oreos too, so you can
I
make your own.
know. I know. I bought one box at like a pack of it,
Uh-huh.
and I wolfed that down probably like 5 days because I haven't had like Oreos in
Oh,
so
they're so
long.
good. Mm-hmm.
They tasted the exact same as I remember
Oh,
them,
really?
so I was really
Nice.
impressed. Because usually like gluten-free stuff sucks,
Yeah,
but the Oreos knows how to do it. They
that's
know how to
good.
do it right.
What kind of flour do they use?
I don't know. I always have found that like in recipes, if I do like a gluten-free recipe,
Mm-hmm.
like taking all sorts, excuse me, of different kinds of flour, like gluten-free flour, like almond flour, that what is this, like rice flour and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and you're just combining it all into one, like helps like like the consistency, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So otherwise, I don't know how to describe it, but it doesn't taste right.
Oh, sure.
I don't know how to describe it.
So I looked up on Oreo's website. It says that they use white rice flour and
Mm-hmm.
tapioca starch. So
Tapioca starch. Interesting. I don't even know a tapioca could be like starch.
it's kind of like, have you had like boba?
Yeah, I've had like the little balls. Yeah, tapioca balls.
Little
Yeah.
balls. Yeah, that's like a starch. Yeah, tapioca.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Didn't know. We're learning all sorts of stuff today.
Yes, thanks to Google. Yeah, tapioca is a like a root.
Huh. I always thought it'd be like a flower, but instead it's underground,
Like
not
a
above
potato.
ground, like a potato. It's equivalent to potato.
Yeah, it's a very starchy potato.
Yep, it's basically tapioca pudding. You might as well have potato pudding, which is all I would, say it'd be like mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
I
Just really goody
really
mashed
don't
potato.
like mashed potatoes that are like pureed,
Oh,
you
really? You
know?
like the lumpy stuff?
No, I like lumpy. I don't
You
like
do.
it when it's just like I put it in my mouth and I'm like it's just like I don't know, like very like not
Oh,
viscous, but
viscous. Smooth?
yeah,
No
very too
texture?
smooth, too smooth. Yeah. I'm like, do I
Interesting.
chew it? If it confuses my brain.
Okay.
I
It's
like
kinda like
mashed
ice
potatoes
cream.
that are like chunky.
Okay. I guess I like when you put cream cheese and cheese in it and you blend it and it's smooth but, like, cheesy. That's my favorite kind of mashed potatoes.
I just made mashed potatoes that had like sharp white cheddar in them, and that was really good.
Delicious. That sounds really
But I
good.
made sure it was, chunky.
Mhm.
I've seen so Snoop Dogg, you know how Snoop Dogg like cooks now? Like he has a cookbook.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
Okay.
he did have a show with Martha Stewart.
Yeah, I heard of that, yeah.
But his mashed potatoes, he puts potato chips in there.
Interesting.
I know, and I'm like, I wonder if that like
Like a
is
crunch?
yeah, like it gives like a crunch.
Maybe. Maybe if you, like, put it on when you're eating it, because I feel like if it sat too long, it would get soggy and
Yes.
weird.
Yeah, maybe it's like a garnish.
Yeah, that would be
That
good. Like,
that would be
you
good.
have the mashed potatoes and put, like, cheese and then crushed potato chips and put it, like, in the broiler for a couple minutes, like, it's crusty, like, ooh,
That would be good.
delicious. It'd be delicious. Have you seen there's a TikTok trend, at least it used to be a trend, where people would take, like, your favorite kind of potato chips and you soak them in water, and that was supposed to be mashed potatoes. You, like, put them in water, puree them, and that's your mashed potatoes that are flavored.
Ew, no. Why
It
do people
sounds
think of this?
because potatoes and
Oh
desperation.
my
This
gosh.
is probably,
Desperate.
like,
You know
college.
what? Like the word that's associated with like TikTok is desperation. I'm sorry if I dissed a whole bunch of people, but I'm not of that world, so
That's okay. I
and
send you
I'm
the
content.
highlights.
I know you send me the highlights and I'm content with not being part of that world.
Okay. You don't want us to put clips of our stuff on TikTok?
Yeah, put clips of me dissing TikTok on TikTok.
So, honestly, we might do pretty well. Hey, Wanderers! Welcome back to another Foolish Wanderers podcast, the podcast about anything and everything. Welcome back to the third episode of our Spooktober 2022.
Woo! And then
Woo!
woo! Yes, the Foolish Wanderers annual. I guess yeah, it's annual now.
Now it is, yes.
Spooktober Spectacular, where all
Mm,
month long we'll be talking and discussing, breaking down spooky myths and stories.
yes.
And today I thought that we'd turn it up to 11, bring like the spook factor up even more, and talk about the Bell Witch.
Ooh.
Do you know anything? Have you heard about the Bell Witch?
So I've heard about it, but, like, it's one of those things that it doesn't I know I've heard the story, but I
You
think it
have?
like well, so, like, I think I heard a podcast on it, but
Darn
it
it.
well,
Why would you say anything before we do a podcast on it?
because honestly, I don't remember, like, all the details or anything. I
Okay.
I think with a lot of these things, my brain, if it's too spooky, it kind of blocks it out,
Like
and I
you
don't remember.
disassociate?
Yes.
That's smart.
Thank you. That's how my brain survives.
This I think the Bell Witch is it's kind of like freaky, terrifying, but then
Mhm.
it's not. It's kind of funny too. I think it's funny.
Okay.
Yeah. At first it's not, and then
I
then at the end it's funny.
was gonna say, like, if you're talking about, like, a haunting, like, a really super messed up haunting, like,
I mean, it is,
that's
but it
yeah.
gets funny.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I'll
so
trust you.
yep, everyone hang in there because it gets funny.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. It was a night just like tonight. Or day. I don't know, I thought I'd try that. It didn't work.
It's
Okay.
I mean, it's, like, it's dark, and it's not really
It's
it's
dark
kinda calm
here.
outside, so, I mean
That's when the spookiest things happen.
is it?
I think so.
Okay. I think
Catch
the
you off
spookiest is,
guard.
like that's true. I think of, like, a thunderstorm or, like, a light misty rain where, like, things
Mhm.
are, like, slightly obscured from your
Yeah.
view.
Subvert your expectations because it happens during the calm
Yep. Okay.
when you least expect it.
Okay.
Okay, so flashback to 1804, and we are 40 miles north of Nashville, which is the capital of Tennessee. And
Mhm.
we are along the Red River, which brought settlers to the area of Adams Station, which is the modern day town of Adams. So one of those settlers was the Bell family, the family consisting of John, who is 54, and Lucy Bell, and their children. They have a lot of children.
Okay.
Too many children. They were
Oh,
like rabbits. Jesse, John Jr., Drury,
okay.
Benjamin, Esther, Zadok, Elizabeth, or in this story we will be calling her Betsy,
Okay.
Richard Williams, and Joel Egbert.
I love Egbert.
I like my favorite's Drury because
Drury.
it's just like Drew but like an RY at the end. I've
Yeah,
never heard of it before.
I need
It
some
just
spice in
sounds
there.
like he's really into Edgar Allan Poe and like, listens to My Chemical Romance or something.
Yeah, just gotta have that little edge to it.
Drury. Yeah.
Drury.
So, the Bell family built a house and started a farm on 1,000 acres, located on the Red River in Robertson County, Tennessee. The Bell family was happy at their farmstead. That is, at least in the beginning.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right. We gotta just have like all sorts of like oh, music, like, like
Like
sound effects.
spooky.
I
Yeah.
love the spooky sound effects for Spooktober. It
Just
just
like the
adds
random.
to it. It's just so random. I love it. It's great. Okay, here we go. The family had a nice and quiet life until a crisp early October morning in 1817. The day began like all the days before, tending crops and taking care of the animals. John Bell woke early and went out to check the fields, but John felt like there was something different in the air. John walked the rows of corn. Suddenly, he heard a foreign rustling sound, and a chill ran down his spine. He turned and spotted what he thinks is a large black dog in the distance, but something is off with this dog. Its face was thin and very small, like
No.
really weird small. He said like a rabbit, like that's how big its head was.
No.
Bell had never seen anything like it before and started towards the dog.
No, no, no,
He
no.
he fired a shot at the animal, but it vanished. Thinking nothing of it but his imagination, John headed back to the house. Later that same day, John Jr. went hunting. So John Jr. was 24 years old and was considered a good shot. While he was out in the woods, he spotted a dark, shadowy figure. Probably thinking it was a bear, he raised his rifle, took aim, and fired. He headed to the spot expecting to find a dead animal. Except John Jr. found nothing. No animal, not even tracks. So he headed home empty handed. So other strange happenings were happening at the Bell household at this time as well, but they're kind of not as, what's the word? Like backed, I guess, like for information wise, I
Okay,
guess.
so like not as well known or
Yeah,
like
because the story has
okay.
been told 1,000 different times.
Yeah, yeah, fair.
So here's some other ones. Strange happenings. So Drury Bell approached an unknown bird perched on a fence that flew off and was of, in his quote, extraordinary size. The daughter Betsy observed a girl in a green dress swinging from the limb of an oak tree. I guess I don't think that's that odd, but maybe
Yeah,
she was like in one of like, I guess if they owned 1,000 acres and she was just randomly on a, like this strange girl was swinging from the tree of one of,
I suppose if she was alone, I guess that's weirder than like unless I guess it depends too like how far into their land
hmm
this was, or if it was just like a neighbor and then she just got lost. Was like I'm gonna play here.
And then Dean, a person enslaved by the Bell family, reported being followed by a large black dog on evenings he visited his wife. So, yes,
I.
unfortunately, the Bell family owned slaves. It had enslaved people,
Mhm.
which is why they're gonna get their asses haunted.
I mean, you get what's coming to you,
You
right?
get what's coming to you.
Yeah. My question is, how do you walk and like see this dog with a small head and just go, oh, never mind, once it disappears, like poof.
I
Like, how
don't
does
know.
that not scare you?
I have no clue.
Like, to
he,
me, what?
like,
No.
I know, like in accounts that John Bell says, he's just like, I just thought it was part of my imagination. Like, I didn't think to mention it until,
But like,
later.
people see it like all the time. Like, there's at least 3 guys now that have seen this thing. That's
I
creepy.
know.
And like, large black dogs make me think of a couple different like cryptids, I guess.
Mhm.
One of them is you're not supposed to say the actual word, otherwise they can attract them to you. So I'm gonna say like a nickname. They're called flesh pedestrians. So like I don't know. You kind of know it's like what's a different word for flesh? It's like
Body
it's
snatcher?
I don't know if that's the same thing, but, so it's like flesh pedestrian is, like, a different way of phrasing what they're actually called, but you're not supposed to say, like, the actual name, otherwise it can attract them to you, and I
Does
don't
it
want that
rhyme
energy.
does the actual name rhyme with Pinstalker
Yes.
Cranch?
Yes. Yes, it
Okay.
does. Yep.
Pinstalker Cranch. Okay.
Yes.
Not coming
Um,
for me. I didn't say that.
nope. And then the other thing too, I think I've heard of I I think they're, like, massive wolves, they're not, like, tiny-headed wolves, but, like, hellhounds, like,
Oh,
those
like
people have
in,
seen those too.
yeah, like in, Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Yep. This episode's cursed.
Yeah, so as soon as I started talking about that Wanderers, our recording site just crashed for, like, a good solid, like, minute or so.
Multiple times.
Multiple times, yes. So, like Kendra said, this episode is cursed, so
Don't talk about it.
no talking
Don't
no.
even do rhymes to talk about it.
Nope, or the big black dogs that are just
Don't!
dead. I'm not gonna say the name again. So, yes, let us continue before we crash again.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So later that night, as the family started to close their eyes, they hear scratching noises. The family all hear what sounds to them like scraping and knocking on the exterior walls. But when they check, there's nothing to be found. Over the next few weeks, the kids keep complaining about the knocking noises, only now it's in the house's interior walls. So, like in their
Ugh.
rooms.
Oh, gross,
Betsy,
no.
Drury, love that name, and John begin to hear the sound of wings flapping against the ceilings and the sounds of rats gnawing on bedposts.
Couldn't that just be, like, 2, like, little animals inside the walls, like rats or something actually
Yeah,
in the walls?
exactly.
Okay.
But all
Okay.
cases, the source of the noise was never found. So no rats were found in the home despite thorough searching, and no damage to the furniture was ever discovered. So even more
Weird.
disturbing sounds started, like dogs growling and snarling, metal chains hitting the floor, and eventually they start hearing choking noises.
No, thank you.
I don't know, thank you.
No, thank you.
It's like I can't start. I like for me, I can't hear choking noises because like I can't hear like people throwing up or like choking noises because
Oh,
I'll
well, sure.
start like gagging and dry heaving. So I would,
Yeah.
yeah, I would be in pain.
Oh, man, you couldn't sleep. Like
No, I'd be in hell. I'd be dry heaving the whole time, dry heaving on my sleep. Okay, so obviously this is keeping the family awake. But no matter
Mhm.
how hard or how long they look, they can't find the origin.
Wow.
Also about
Okay.
this is about the time where John Bell began experiencing paralysis in his mouth.
So, like, his like, he couldn't speak, kind of? Or just,
Like
like, in general?
I think
Like,
he could move it or something. I've also read
weird.
where
Okay.
he would have like bouts of like his tongue swelling up so much that he couldn't eat for a few days.
Oh, like an allergic thing? Huh.
Maybe.
Okay.
So, not long after this, the children begin complaining of having their bed covers pulled from them and their pillows tossed onto the floor by a seemingly invisible entity. As time
Mm.
went on, the Bells began hearing faint, whispering voices, which too weak to understand but sounded like a feeble old woman singing hymns. The encounters escalated, and the Bell's youngest daughter, Betsy Bell, began experiencing brutal encounters with the invisible entity. It would pull her hair and slap her relentlessly, often leaving welts and
Oh.
handprints on her face and body. The
Oh.
disturbances about which John Bell had vowed his family to secret finally escalated to the point that he shared his family trouble. That's what he called this, family trouble, with his closest friend
Okay.
and neighbor, James Johnston. Family trouble.
It's like
All
okay.
right. Okay, so skeptical at first, Johnston and his wife spent the night at the Bell home. Things began peacefully, but once they retired for the evening, they were subjected to the same terrifying disturbances that the Bells had been experiencing. After their bed covers were yanked off and James was slapped, he sprang out of bed, exclaiming, Katrina, you have to do this part.
Why?
Because this is
Why
part of
me?
this is part of the experience.
Just me yelling?
Yeah.
You want me to, like, do, like, a
Yeah,
guy's voice
like a
or what?
southern
Guys?
gentleman. Yep.
Southern gentleman. Oh, that's gonna "In the name of the Lord, who are you and what do you want?"
The entity did not respond. The rest of the night was peaceful. The next morning, Mr. Johnson explained to the Bells that the culprit was likely Katrina.
Evil spirit, the kind that the Bible talks about.
Thank you. The
You're welcome.
spirit eventually told of its origin. So it eventually starts talking to the bells because
No,
they
that's
asked
worse.
questions.
Oh, and what makes it worse too is like it's not just them, but it is their close friend, but like it's not just them that sees
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
or
there's
hears it.
multiple
Ugh.
witnesses of this witch thing, ghost. Okay, so
Oh
this is
man.
what
Okay.
the witch, ghost, spirit, demon thing told them. I am a spirit. I was once very happy, but I have been disturbed and made unhappy. I am the spirit of a person who was buried in the woods nearby, and the grave was disturbed, my bones disinterred and scattered, and one of my teeth was lost under this house. I am here
No.
looking for that tooth. So that's why she's there. Of course.
It's like like a supernatural episode where they have to just find this like fingernail hidden in a glove
Yeah,
to
to
like
get rid of the
destroy the
ghost.
ghost.
Exactly. You're very right.
No.
So, of course, this cannot be verified. However, a number of Native American burial mounds could be found in that region. So, in another event, the witch claimed to be, quote, a spirit from everywhere, heaven, hell, the earth, am in the air, the houses, any place at any time, have been created millions of years. So, Lucy Bell and John Jr. were left relatively unharmed by the witch. Lucy was proclaimed by the witch, or the spirit, to be the most perfect woman living.
Huh.
And the witch
Okay.
showed a great deal of compassion towards her, even caring for her and singing to her while she was ill. So,
So why is she hurting the wasn't it the littler
yeah,
one?
Betsy, the daughter, yeah.
Betsy? Why is
I
she
don't
hurting
know.
her?
I've
Like,
I know,
she's a
I've
kid.
even read, like, excerpts from this Bell Witch with the mother Lucy about, the witch when Lucy was sick, the witch would if she needed medicine, she would alert, like,
Mhm.
somebody in the house to get her medicine or, like, where things were in the house or, like, to go buy her fresh fruit.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too. That's like it's such a great nurse to the one person. Such
Just
a
the one
so
person.
abusive to most everybody else in that household. So,
Yeah.
it gets weirder. So, John Jr. had long, intense conversations with the witch, but he never failed to show his animosity for it, declaring it to be the spirit of the damned.
So I'm gonna be friends with it, but as soon as you say something and be like, "Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
No, we're not cool." Like, this is evil.
yeah, no, we're not
Okay.
cool. So, over time, the witch's voice became loud and unmistakable. It sang hymns, quoted scripture, carried on intelligent conversation, and once even quoted word for word two sermons that were preached at the same time on the same day, 13 miles apart.
So my question is like, isn't there like a thing where it's like if it's an evil spirit, like a demon or whatever, they're not supposed to be able to say like the like scripture, like the word of God, right? So
Maybe that's just what they want you to think.
maybe yeah, because we don't really know, but like that's just weird to me that if she's singing hymns and stuff, like praising God, and then she's supposedly like an evil spirit, like that's a contradiction in my head. But okay,
Maybe she's like Jack Sparrow,
okay,
you know?
that's
Mhm.
fair. I gotta judge it. I gotta judge
She just wants a
it.
tooth, but yeah, she doesn't want a jar of dirt. She wants a tooth.
Yeah.
Okay, so word of the supernatural phenomena soon spread outside the settlement, even to Nashville, where then Major General Andrew Jackson became interested in the so-called Bell Witch. Okay, so Andrew Jackson, if people need like a refresher on him, he was the seventh president of the United States of America, and he also met the Bell Witch.
Isn't that a great on your resume? President, seventh president. I also met the
Yeah.
famous Bell Witch. Gonna get you any job
Good.
anywhere.
So John Bell Jr., along with his brothers Drury, our favorite, and Jesse, had fought under General Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans. A few years later, in 1819, Jackson heard about the disturbances at the Bell home and decided to pay a visit and investigate. As Jackson's entourage, consisting of several men, well groomed horses, and a large wagon, approached the Bell property, the wagon jolted to a sudden stop. It had become stuck in a muddy creek bed, and the horses were unable to pull it. At least, that was what the men thought. After several minutes of cursing and trying to coax the horses into pulling the wagon, Jackson proclaimed, Katrina.
By the eternal boys, that must be the Bell Witch.
Then suddenly, a disembodied female voice told Jackson that they could proceed and that she would see them again later that evening. They were then
That's
wait, sorry, go.
I just find it fascinating that she, like, basically this whole acreage, right? This whole farmland, she just wanders around and does random things. She's buried in the
Mhm.
forest, and then she just haunts everywhere around there that
Like
she
a
wants to.
caretaker or something. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it
Mhm.
could have been a old caretaker.
No, like that's what her job is right now. Like she's like being
Oh, yeah. True.
Okay, so they were then able to proceed across the property, up the lane, and to the Bell home. That evening, Jackson told old war stories while his entourage set up their tents in John and Lucy Bell's yard. One of the men claimed to be, quote, a witch tamer.
Oh, no.
And after several uneventful hours, he pulled out a shiny pistol and proclaimed that its silver bullet would kill any evil spirit that it came into contact with. He went on to say that the reason nothing had happened to them was because whatever had been haunting the Bells was scared of his silver bullet.
But yet they heard her as they're,
Yeah,
like, stuck in the muddy
like
pit.
she probably like she made them stuck and then was like, "Here you go, go on. Thank you
Yeah,
for."
like, he just forgot about that.
Yeah, he just forgot about
Okay.
that. So immediately the man screamed and began jerking his body in different directions, complaining that he was being stuck with pins and beaten severely. A
Ew.
strong, swift kick to the man's posterior region from an invisible foot sent him right out the front door. Angry, the entity spoke up and announced that there was yet another fraud in Jackson's party and that she would identify him the following evening. I said it like a southern person. Evening.
Evening. That's okay. Evening. I like that. Evening.
So now terrified, Jackson's men begged to leave the Bell farm. Jackson insisted on staying. He wanted to know who the other fraud was.
So what kind of fraud were they talking about? Was, like, fraud,
Like
like,
witch tamer, I think. Like
witch tamer? Okay, so just, like, boastful, like,
yeah, like
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Too big for his britches or something like that. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, there you go.
The men eventually went outside to sleep in their tents while continuously begging Jackson to leave. What happened next is not clear, but Jackson and his entourage were spotted in nearby Springfield early the next morning, heading back to Nashville. Some allege that Jackson later proclaimed, Katrina.
I would rather fight the British at New Orleans than fight the Bell Witch. Really bad. I apologize.
Yeah, so Andrew Jackson got scared by the witch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about next the witch curses John Bell even more, like even more than she already has.
Oh, goody.
Great.
Great.
So, referring to John Bell Sr. is Old Jack. The witch claimed she intended to kill him.
Oh.
Bell had been experiencing episodes of twitching in his face and difficulty swallowing for almost a year, and it grew worse with time. By the fall of 1820, his declining health had confined him to the house, where the malicious entity continuously removed his shoes when he tried to walk and slapped his face when he recovered from his numerous seizures.
Oh my goodness.
Her shrill voice was heard all over the farm, cursing and chastising old Jack Bell, the nickname she had given him.
So, like, I understand, like, money would be tight at this point, but, like, why wouldn't you leave? Like, if all this stuff is happening and you're just getting sicker and sicker and it's obviously not helping you by staying there. Like, I know money's tight, but sometimes you just gotta go, right?
I mean, yeah, but like if you bought like spent like you moved there, spent all your money to
Mhm.
buy like 1,000 acres and enslaved people, you're not just gonna
Yeah.
probably throw in the towel, yeah,
Leave.
leave.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel that bad for them, but
Okay.
on the morning of December 20th, 1820, after slipping into a coma a day earlier. Immediately after his death, his family found a vial of strange black liquid in the cupboard. John Jr. sprinkled 2 drops on a cat, like a stray cat's tongue, and
Why?
because this is why, the cat jumped into the air, rolled over in midair, and was dead when it hit the
Oh.
floor. The entity then exclaimed, Katrina.
I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night, which fixed him.
John Jr. tossed the mysterious vial into the fireplace. It burst into a bright blue flame and shot up the chimney.
See, this all seems quite conspicuous to
Like
me. I
fun,
mean,
like
like,
like fantastical.
yes.
Yeah. See, I said it's funny. Remember how I said it was funny? Horrible
Yeah.
things are happening to horrible people. It's funny.
Okay. Yeah, fair.
So, John Bell's funeral was one of the largest ever held in Robertson County, Tennessee. People attended from miles away. There were three preachers. So, as the crowd of mourners began leaving the graveyard, the Bell Witch entity laughed and sang a song about a bottle of brandy.
So, like Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, like Jack Sparrow. So she was just like singing like little like sailor songs
Little
at a
jaunty
funeral.
tunes.
So
I love it.
her fervent singing didn't stop until the last mourner had left the graveyard. The entity's presence was almost non existent after John Bell's demise, as though it had fulfilled its purpose. Maybe it
Maybe it did. Got rid of a really bad person,
mm,
maybe.
not a great man.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so this is like just a few more little tidbits, dips of your toes
Okay.
into the Bell Witch well. Okay, so Betsy Bell's engagement is ruined. So over time, Betsy Bell became interested in Joshua Gardner. With the blessings of their parents, they decided to marry, and everyone was happy about their engagement. Well, almost everyone. The witch became furious and repeatedly ordered Betsy not to marry Joshua. Betsy and Joshua could not go to the river, the fields, or the cave without the entity nagging them. The constant pressure was more than Betsy Bell could handle, and on Easter Monday of 1821, she met Joshua at the river and broke off their engagement.
I think I did. I think this is a part of the story that I kind of remember that her life was basically tortured
Yeah, so yeah.
because of this.
So
Yeah.
the witch was like a jealous ex or like a jealous friend and was saying like
Yeah.
don't go meet him, don't be with him. Why would you want to be with him? Leave
Like
him. Like
constant. Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
It's really
Not fun.
sad.
It is. Like you try to better your life and then
That
yeah.
part's sad. Fall in love, then yeah,
Yeah.
got ruined.
Yeah.
Meddling witch. Okay, so the entity bade farewell but returned in 1828. So, in the April of 1821, shortly after Betsy Bell had broken off her engagement, the entity visited John Bell's widow, Lucy Bell, remember her favorite,
Mhm.
and told her that it was leaving but would return in 7 years.
That's ominous.
Mhm.
Okay.
The entity returned in 1828 as promised. Most of the return visit centered on John Bell Jr., with whom the entity discussed the origin of life, civilizations, Christianity, and the need for a major spiritual reawakening.
Random. Okay.
Random, of particular significance where its predictions of the Civil War and other major events. She missed most of them. Like she didn't like she made some like predictions,
Okay.
and she guessed that the Civil War would happen, but like she had did some other ones and they were like, wrong.
So did she give years or just said like this
Like
will
just this will
happen?
happen.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So the entity bade farewell after 3 weeks, promising to visit John Bell's most direct descendant in 107 years. Randomly 107.
Well, she did say 7 years before. Maybe just adding like 100 to add a couple of
Added
extra.
100.
Like,
Okay.
oh,
So that would be the year 1935, and the closest living direct descendant at that time was Nashville physician Dr. Charles Bailey Bell. Did the Bell Witch return in 1935 as promised? Some say she did not return, or that if she did, they were not aware of it, but many say she never left the place to begin with.
yeah. I mean, if he was living in a different place, maybe she couldn't get to him or didn't know that he
Mm-hmm.
existed. Maybe.
Maybe. All right, so now we're going to some theories because,
We love a good theory.
we love a good theory.
Yes.
So this is theory number one. This is the one that I think could be true, but I'd have no idea. It'd make for a good movie, disturbing movie,
Mm.
but good movie.
Yeah.
Jealous creep school teacher. So Betsy and
Okay.
Joshua's former school teacher, Professor Richard Powell, had been noticeably interested in Betsy for some time and had expressed interest in marrying her when she became older.
That's always creepy. Like,
Oh
I don't care if
yes.
it's back then. That's gross. Don't hit on children.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Gross. No.
By some accounts, Powell, who was 11 years Betsy's senior, was a student of the occult, ventriloquism, and math and a mathematical genius, and well versed in horticulture and geology.
You got a long list of things. Okay.
Uh-huh. He was secretly married to a woman in nearby Nashville. So he was already married, but he like ran away.
Like secret. Why?
I don't know.
I don't like this man.
I don't either. He expressed his unwavering fondness for Betsy Bell, and according to early accounts, Powell politely expressed his disappointment with Betsy's engagement to age appropriate Joshua. and wished her a long and prosperous marriage. So remember how the witch like broke them up, right? Joshua and Betsy?
Yeah.
So, since, that happened, Betsy eventually married the professor, her teacher,
Ew.
and moved to Mississippi. So they moved away.
Oh. See, like, the thing too but, like, with this, if it was this person, like, the witch started way before she met Joshua, right, or, like, was
Mhm.
engaged. So this would have had to be, like, a long, like, lifelong obsession, which is even more terrifying. So, I mean, like, for that part, like, where she was engaged to Joshua, like, the torment of that makes sense, but, like, he'd also have to hire, like, a woman, wouldn't he, to, like, taunt and, like
If he was like a talented like a ventriloquist, I know that has
Mhm.
nothing to do with like woman voice, but you'd have to be
Uh-huh.
able to do something with like you'd have to be like, in control of like your voice box.
Yeah, like a higher range.
Yeah, so he could definitely go into like a falsetto, right?
Could probably, yeah.
He could, yes. Okay, here's
Theoretically,
some
yeah.
more, but that was my favorite theory,
Okay,
and
the
then
disturbing
the
teacher, yeah.
disturbing, like, creep school teacher, and then, like, I also thought, "Oh, maybe, like, her Betsy's father didn't like him because, school teacher, creepy." So then
Mhm.
they killed the dad to
Oh
for easier
my.
access,
Oh, I
yeah.
hate this. Okay. I mean, it explained the poison thing, though.
There's also something I read, I didn't put it in, but, 'cause there wasn't, like, that great of evidence for it, but that it was an account of, like, school children, like, hearing that teacher, like, talk in a mysterious language, just, like, out loud.
Ew.
So, could he conjure and if he was into the occult, could he conjure a spirit to,
Yeah,
bully the
possibly, I
bells and
mean
then yeah.
but, like, again, like, when the start? Like, when Betsy was a child? And, like, before, like, he would have been a teacher? Or would this
Well,
have
if
been,
it did
like
let's see.
I guess I don't know how old she was when this started, but
I think she was like a early teenager. When did the
Oh, okay.
spirit come? I say 1817. Is that what I say?
It was around
Yep,
there, yeah.
1817. So
It's like 10
yeah,
years.
I think she was like a little teenager, like middle school. But still, it's disgusting and creepy, and we don't
That's
approve.
yeah.
And
Especially
it's
if yeah,
illegal. Illegal.
don't do that.
Don't do that, creepers. But yeah, she married him, and then they moved to Tennessee, to Mississippi. So
Yeah.
Blech. Okay, some other theories. So Joe Nickel has written that many of those who knew Betsy suspected her of fraud, and the Bell witch story, quote, sounds suspiciously like an example of the poltergeist faking syndrome, in which someone, typically a child, causes the mischief. So he thinks that Betsy did it, which I kind of think so too. Yep.
I can see that, but, like, I guess there's some things, like, how would you get the wings on the roof or, like, the scratching in the walls? Unless you just, like, as a family make it up, right? That's kind of my thing is attention,
It's just
like
weird because that remember their neighbor friend, they came over to
Mhm.
stay and they witnessed,
But that's their friend, though,
true.
too.
But
So, I
what about all
mean,
the people at the funeral that heard
the
the
singing.
singing?
Paid actress.
Paid actress?
Who's that lady singing down the ditch there? Oh, no, don't pay attention. There's nobody behind this curtain. Don't worry.
There's
It's
no
fine.
ladies laying in the ditch.
No.
Okay. So, according to Ben Radford, the Bell Witch story is an important one for all paranormal researchers. Quote, it shows how easily legend and myth can be mistaken for fact in real events, and how easily the lines are blurred when sources are not checked.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing is where it's so long ago, and then it's like I know nowadays like it's super easy to mess with audio and video stuff, but like back then there's no real way of getting like audio evidence or really so you can make up anything
I know.
basically. And then yeah.
So, yeah, so that was the story of the Bell Witch.
I have one theory that's very outlandish, but
Let's
in
hear
my
it.
brain it makes some
Let's
sense.
hear it.
Okay. Okay. So my theory is what if in a different timeline, John Bell and Betsy were actually like they did something horrible. So someone had to go back in time but like be invisible and like get rid of them or disrupt her marriage and get rid of John before something tragic happens in the future.
Huh. Good movie, too.
Yes, fantastic movie idea.
Fantastic movie idea as well.
I call it.
Yeah, go write it.
Yeah, but, like, it makes me think, so, like, what if that family, if it wasn't stopped or, like, John wasn't stopped, like, what if something even more nefarious I don't know, it's probably just, like, them making up stuff and there's no way to
Mhm.
prove it, but,
I'd
you know.
also like to think that it was, like, the horrible Bell family's slaves that were like, "Let's mess with them and beat them and slap them and pretend we're ghosts."
But how would you, like for, like, if it's a teenager, like, how would you
I don't know. I'd like that too. I'd like that too, like, "We're gonna
y
kill him, poison him, make us think that we're ghosts."
yeah, I mean, I can definitely see them, like, scratching at the walls or, like,
Mhm.
beating at the ceiling or whatever. I can see that part, but I don't see the how you'd slap or hit it like, them and then not see you, like
Be seen?
yeah, that doesn't make
I don't
sense.
know either. I wish it would happen, be it's fun.
Oh,
But
man.
that's the Bell Witch.
One to give you nightmares and make you think a lot about possibilities.
Ooh, yeah, no, now do, like, the
Ooh,
yeah,
spooky
ooh, spooky
sounds.
sounds. Sources for the Bell Witch episode: Tennessee State Library and Archives, of course, Wikipedia, as always, and bellwitch.org.
All right, Wanderers, thank you so much for joining us in episode 3 of Spooktober 2022. We hope you enjoyed and didn't get too spooked. If you did, yay, we met our goal. So if you have any suggestions for any future episodes or for next year's Spooktober, we'd love to hear them. So please feel free to email us at fwplisteners@gmail.com.
And as always, the new episodes of the Foolish Wanderers podcast are released weekly from wherever you get your podcast from, including this place that you're listening to right now. And if you want, we would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star review. It helps us get into the algorithms.
Thanks. All right, Wanderers, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.